Lesson 5-2, solving inequalities by multiplication and division. Essential question. What causes the symbol to flip when multiplying an inequality? Alright, so what do we have to remember about multiplying when solving an inequality? So this is very important for this lesson. If you multiply by a negative number or a negative fraction, you must flip your inequality symbol around. I'm going to show you why in a second here. So if you have two inequalities, let's just use 8 is greater than 4. I'm going to do that twice. Okay, so we're going to multiply both sides by a positive number. And I'm just going to pick any number I want to. As long as you do something to one side, you have to do it to the other, but that's okay if you do the same thing to both sides. So I'm going to pick 2. So if I times both sides by 2, I have 16 is greater than 8, which, yes, that is true. 16 is greater than 8, so this inequality is still true. Now, if I multiply both sides by a negative number instead, I would get negative 16 is greater than negative 8. Now, is that true? No. Negative 16 is less than negative 8. So that is no longer an accurate inequality. You have to flip the inequality symbol around in order for it to still be true. So that's what this sentence is saying. If you multiply both sides by a negative number, we did negative 2, or a negative fraction, you have to flip your inequality symbol around in order for it to remain true. So that's what we did right here. We had to flip our inequality in order for it to remain true. All right, let's get into the example. So, x over negative 2 is less than or equal to 11. We're going to draw our train tracks. So the opposite of x divided by negative 2 is timesing both sides by negative 2. Since we're timesing by a negative, we have to flip our inequality symbol. And every time we end up needing to flip, I'm going to write the word flip. But since we times both sides by negative 2, we had to flip it. So now our answer is x is greater than negative 22. So we started out with less than or equal to, and then flipped it to greater than or equal to. So make sure if the number is, so the x over negative 2, since the 2 was negative, that's why we had to times both sides by a negative. If that 2 were positive, we times both sides by positive 2. All right. Negative 8 is less than or equal to x over 5. So now to get x by itself, the opposite of x divided by 5 is timesing by 5. So I'm going to times both sides by 5. Now I'm timesing both sides by a positive 5, so I don't have to flip anything. So don't flip on this one. 5 times negative 8 is negative 40. What I am going to do, even though we're not graphing, it says just solve, it doesn't make you graph, we are still going to rewrite every single problem. I think it's good to get in the habit of always rewriting no matter what. Do that on every single problem, whether you have to graph or not. So the mouth is opening to the x, so the mouth needs to open to the x. So my answer is x is greater than or equal to negative 40. All right, negative 2/3 x is less than or equal to negative 10. So now we have a fraction, negative 2/3. So if you remember back to chapter 2, in order to get rid of a fraction, you have to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. So flip it around. So 3 over negative 2. You can still keep the negative with the 2, but you have to flip it around. So then these would cancel because you'd get negative 6 over negative 6, which is 1. We have to flip because we times both sides by a negative. And then in order to multiply these fractions, I'm going to put 10 over 1. And then I end up with negative 10 times 3 is negative 30. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. Negative 30 over negative 2 is positive 15. So x is greater than or equal to 15. One half x is less than negative 6. So we have a fraction again. To get rid of a fraction, times both sides by the reciprocal. So 2 over 1, or 2. This would be 2 over 2, which makes 1. We don't have to flip on this one because we times both sides by a positive 2. Negative 6 times 2 is negative 12 over 1, which would just be negative 12. The x is on the left already, so we don't need to rewrite anything. So we didn't have to flip or rewrite on that one. All right, define a variable, write an inequality, and solve. Jesse has more than 45 CDs. This is about a fourth of the amount that Sue has. How many does Sue have? Now remember, anytime we do a word problem, we're going to use our acronym SUI. So the S's starts with, the O is operation, the U is unknown, the I is inequality, and the E is ends with. Alright, I always like to start with my unknown. So we are trying to figure out how many CDs does Sue have. So I'm going to have my unknown be S for Sue. We're finding out how many, or actually maybe instead of S, I'm going to do C. So we're going to find out how many, well no, let's stick with S. So we're finding it out for Sue. Okay, let's see what else we can fill in. Our inequality, well, I see the word more than, so more than is the same as greater than, so I can put in that inequality. Operation, the word that has our operation in this problem is of. Of in math means to multiply. All right, and then what we've got left is our 45 and 1/4. Now, when you're trying to figure out what number should go where, we know it's 1/4 of, so we're doing 1/4 times something. So let's have the 1/4 be right next to our multiplication symbol. So 1/4 of, so 1/4 times, so then 45 will go down here. Now we can write from top to bottom our inequality. So 1/4 times S is greater than 45. So to get rid of our fraction, we times both sides by the reciprocal. So 4 over 1, or 4. These make 1. And we're left with S is greater than 180. So let's write a sentence describing what this means. So we remember, look at what we were figuring out. How many does Sue have? So Sue has, remember it's not exactly 180, it's more than 180 because it's a greater than symbol, or greater than 180 CDs. So Sue has more than 180 CDs. Don't say that she has 180 exactly. Inequalities aren't one answer. There's tons of answers for inequalities. So any number bigger than 180 is a possible answer for how many CDs Sue has. All right. Luke needs at least $3,500 to buy a car. if he earns $8.50 per hour working, how many hours will he need to work to buy the car? So once again, we're going to use SUI. So start with our unknown. We are trying to figure out how many hours will he need to work to buy the car. So let's go with H. Our inequality is going to be at least, which is greater than or equal to. Our operation, the word, so it was of in the last problem that gave us our operation. This time it's per. Per also means multiply. Just like of meant multiply, per also means multiply. When we're dealing with money, we always want to put our bigger number at the bottom and our smaller number for the starts with. You can also think about the fact that it was $8.50 per hour, so we want to do $8.50 times H. So that helps you as well. All right, let's write our inequality. So $8.50 times H is greater than or equal to $3,500. So then in order to solve this, we need to divide both sides by $8.50. So H is greater than or equal to 411.76, which we want to round up to 412. You wouldn't have to, but you could make it a little bit easier. So 412 hours. So Luke must work 412 or more, because it's greater than or equal to, hours in order to pay for this car. Summary.